Gerry was a former Catholic priest. He's an author. He wrote a book, Do It Anyway, which I've read, and Angie is in the process of reading now. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. We should have a copy in our library, which you're welcome to borrow. But Gerry, it's always a treat to hear Gerry every month. I'm so glad that he's agreed to talk with us once a month. And without further ado, welcome Gerry Murphy.
Thank you, John. While AI transforms everything about our world, we have exclusive dominion over our inner world. Those are not my words. They're the words of Arianna Huffington. And they're from an article she wrote, and I would like to share this article with you in a few moments. For those who are not very familiar with Arianna Huffington and her work, very briefly, she's the founder and CEO of Thrive Global, the founder of the Huffington Post, and the author of 15 books, including international bestseller Thrive and the Sleep Revolution. In 2016, she launched Thrive Global, a behavior change technology company with the mission of improving health outcomes and productivity. Originally from Greece, she moved to England when she was 17 and graduated from Cambridge University with an MA in economics. At 21, she became president of the famed debating society, the Cambridge Union. And she has been named to Time magazine's list of the world's 100 most influential people and Forbes' most powerful women list. So the reason I'm quoting and mentioning Arianna Huffington is because I read an article she posted a few months ago on the Thrive Global newsletter, and I found it very engaging and very thoughtful, and I thought it would work for sharing with you this morning. So I'm going to do three things. I'm going to share the article with you. Then I would like to share with you a few discussion questions that emerged from her article for me. Implicit and explicit questions the article raises but does not answer. I'm only going to share those questions with you just for the purpose of reflection, not that we would try and answer them today. And thirdly, I would like to posit a few reflection points on how, if we are an awakened spiritual human species, how do we live harmoniously with this rapidly developing AI technology in our world? Is it possible? And if so, how? So those are my three pit stops. So we'll jump in with Arianna Huffington's article, and she titled it A New Spiritual Awakening in the Age of AI. In late March, that would be March of this year, researchers from the University of California, San Diego reported the results of a study in which ChatGPT 4.5 was found to have passed the Turing test, or as Alan Turing called it in 1950, the imitation game. The long-standing metric of AI finally being so intelligent as to be indistinguishable from a human in conversation. And now this Rubicon has been crossed. There are doors in space you look for, Francois Guillot once said, and doors in time that you wait for. And a major door in time has just opened. The age of AI is creating ripples of anxiety about every aspect of our lives. How we're going to work, how we're going to live, how we're going to relate to others. Will the new technology augment human connection, or will relationships with chatbots replace it? These are all important questions. And of course, the existence of a technology that can mimic so many aspects of humans opens up endless possibilities as well as endless unintended consequences. But for me, the most exciting possibility is that AI will usher in an awakening about the essential and unique aspects of humanity and technology that technology can't and will never replicate. While AI transforms everything about our outer world, we have exclusive dominion over our inner world. Times of crisis, turmoil, and disruption, and ours definitely qualify, are always the biggest opportunities for growth and renewal. And you can feel it happening. People are increasingly hungry to answer our fundamental need to connect with something larger than ourselves. It's that deep and primal urge to become all that we were intended to be, to take that next step in our evolution toward both understanding and living life's true purpose. And there's evidence that this is what lies on the other side of the door that's opening. In April, Laurel Jackson reported in the New York Times that the country seems to be revisiting the role of religion, while secularism is on pause in America. In the last few decades, 40 million Americans left churches, and now around 30% identify with no religion. But now, a new survey by the Pew Research Center found that a staggering 92% of adults say they have a spiritual belief in God, the afterlife, in something spiritual beyond the natural world, or in the existence of a soul. In a country where most people are pessimistic about the future and don't trust the government, where hope is hard to come by, people are longing to believe in something, writes Jackson. People also want to belong to richer, more robust communities, ones that wrestle with hard questions about how to live. They're looking to heady concepts, confession, atonement, forgiveness, grace and redemption for answers. There have been several religious awakenings in American history. What's new about this one is that it's not attached to any particular dogma or organized religion. That's not surprising, given the many abuses and scandals that have plagued organized religion. Now people across demographics are trying to save the baby from the bathwater. As Tammy McLeod, president of the Harvard Chaplains, put it, "I have served as a chaplain at Harvard for 25 years. And the interest in and openness to religion and spirituality has never been higher on campus." In the age of small armies of successful influencers devoted to helping us optimize everything, our morning routines, our evening routines, our to-do lists, our meals, and even our Netflix queue, we seem to have forgotten that the most essential question is not how to optimize our circumstances, but how to optimize ourselves. Optimizing ourselves, connecting with who we truly are, uniting with what makes us whole, is bigger than a goal. It's the purpose of life. And when we neglect it, even when we have it all, we inevitably feel incomplete. No one in our time finds it surprising, Solzhenitsyn wrote, if a man gives careful daily attention to his body. But people would be outraged if he gave the same attention to his soul. There are many benefits of attending to our soul. A recent Pew study found that religiously affiliated Americans were more likely than non-religious Americans to experience gratitude, spiritual peace, and a deep sense of connection with humanity. But these tangible benefits are still not the real reason why we should answer our fundamental need for spirituality. That's the thesis of Ross Douthat's new book, Believe Why Everyone Should Be Religious. Douthat notes that more and more of his readers seemed unhappy with their unbelief. So in many quarters, the age of cool atheism is being replaced by the idea that, as serious modern people, we can't believe in the magical nonsense of religion, but we can nevertheless acknowledge that it has a significant social utility that thus might be a good thing. This is the argument Douthat's book is pitched against. For Douthat, the reason to believe in religion is quite simply because it's true, or at least the likeliest explanation for our reality. In other words, faith doesn't actually require a leap. It is a rational decision. As Douthat put it to Barry Weiss on her podcast, this world presents itself first as an ordered, structured, mathematically precise, predictable universe governed by physical laws that turned out, based on the best of modern science, to be incredibly precisely calibrated to yield stars, planets, and life itself. The odds of this happening by chance are, as he says, extremely slim. So the simplest explanation is the one that's largely held throughout all of human history. The basic idea that there is some being called God or some higher power that created and ordered the universe. It's not just the uncanny harmony of the universe, but our consciousness itself, which gives us the chance to understand the universe. In fact, as Douthat notes, the idea of science and spirituality being locked in zero-sum tension is antiquated. As recent science has increasingly revealed a universe that broadly supports, rather than refutes, a religious explanation. For instance, quantum physics, in which mind, matter, and energy seem to be entangled. And the drive to connect with something larger than ourselves is actually encoded in us. Andrew Newberg, a pioneer in the neurological study of spiritual experiences, describes the brain as having two primary functions: self-maintenance and self-transcendence. And in the God gene, how faith is hardwired into our genes, geneticist Dean Hamer notes that humans have had spiritual beliefs since the dawn of our species, and identifies a specific gene that plays a role in how we are open to spiritual experience. We think that all human beings have an innate capacity for spirituality, and that desire to reach out beyond oneself, which is at the heart of spirituality, is part of the human makeup, says Hamer. The research suggests that some people have a bit more of that capacity than others, but it's present to some degree in everybody. Combined with his analysis of studies done on identical twins, Hamer concludes that, contrary to what many people believe, children don't learn to be spiritual from their parents, teachers, priests, imams, ministers, or rabbis, nor from their culture or society. Spirituality comes from within. The kernel must be there from the start. It must be a part of their genes. Or as Ecclesiastes puts it, God set eternity in the hearts of men and women. Of course, as with all aspects of our behavior, our genes are not our destiny. And it's up to each one of us to bring this genetic predisposition to life. Materialism, neuroscientist Mario Beauregard argues, has stalled and is unable to answer key questions about the nature of being human. Even worse, it has also convinced millions of people that they should not seek to develop their spiritual nature because they have none. This urge for transcendence to connect with the real nature of the universe is thwarted by the belief that science and its methods for gathering information are the only valid sources for true information. As neurophysiologist and Nobel Prize winner John Eccles said, "The human mystery is incredibly demeaned by scientific reductionism. With its claim in promissory materialism to account eventually for all of the spiritual world in terms of patterns of neuronal activity. This belief must be classed as a superstition. We have to recognize that we are spiritual beings with souls existing in a spiritual world, as well as material beings with bodies and brains existing in a material world. It's no coincidence that this flourishing of the spiritual impulse is happening as AI outstrips humans in intelligence, putting into stark relief the spiritual truth encoded within us. In the age of AI, this cutting-edge technology can paradoxically help us reconnect with ancient truths. As Douthat writes, mystery and magic and enchantment seem to be rushing back into the world." Thus concludes Arianna Huffington's article, and she published it on May 1st, 2025. My thoughts on her article. So this article by Arianna Huffington is a rich tapestry of ideas at the intersection of technology, spirituality, and human identity. It invites us to reflect deeply on what it means to be human in an age where artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping our external world. And here are some of the most fundamental and timely discussion questions it raises for me. Firstly, in the area of technology versus humanity. What aspects of humanity can AI never replicate? And why do they matter? Can AI-driven progress coexist with a deeper spiritual awakening? Or are they inherently at odds? Is the rise of AI a threat to human connection or an opportunity to redefine it? In the area of our inner world and spirituality, why are people turning towards spirituality in an age dominated by materialism and technological advancement? Is spirituality a universal human trait encoded in our biology, or a cultural construct shaped by the environment? And how can we optimize ourselves rather than just our routines and productivity? In relation to belief, truth, and rationality, is belief in a higher power a rational conclusion based on the structure of the universe, as some thinkers argue? Can science and spirituality be reconciled, or must they remain in tension? What does it mean to live a life of purpose in a world increasingly shaped by algorithms and automation? With regard to society and meaning, why are traditional religious institutions losing followers while spiritual hunger seems to be growing? How can we build communities that wrestle with hard questions about how to live without relying on dogma? Is the current cultural shift a new kind of spiritual awakening? And if so, what defines it? These questions aren't just philosophical, they're urgent. They touch on identity, ethics, belonging, and the future of human consciousness. So let's explore one of the questions just a little further. And that's the question, can AI-driven progress coexist with a deeper spiritual awakening, or are they inherently at odds? This question sits at the heart of our era. It's not just about machines and meditation. It's about whether the tools we build to optimize life might also distract us from what makes life meaningful. The case for coexistence, amplifying awareness. AI can help us access ancient wisdom, spiritual texts, and mindfulness practices more easily than ever. Apps powered by AI guide meditation, track emotional well-being, and even suggest personalized spiritual reflections. Freeing time for depth. Automation can reduce the burden of repetitive tasks, potentially giving people more time to reflect, connect, and explore their inner lives. A mirror to humanity. AI forces us to ask, what is consciousness? What is the soul? In trying to define what machines aren't, we clarify what humans are. The tension points. Distraction versus depth. AI thrives on engagement. Clicks, swipes, endless scrolling. Spiritual awakening often requires silence, stillness, and detachment from the digital. Quantifying the unquantifiable. AI is built on data, but spiritual experiences are often ineffable, mysterious, and deeply personal. Can something that thrives on patterns truly understand transcendence? And lastly, identity crisis. As AI becomes more human-like, some fear we'll lose touch with what makes us uniquely human, our capacity for awe, intuition, and moral imagination. So, can AI-driven progress coexist with a deeper spiritual awakening, or are they inherently at odds? Well, maybe not inherently, but they do pull us in different directions. The challenge, I believe, for our times is to use AI as a tool for awakening, not a substitute for it. Thank you for your time and attention.